And welcome back to Politics Unplugged. Well, the city of Glendale is getting lots of positive attention lately. A big change from the last few years when the city budget was strained, along with relations with both the Arizona Coyotes and the Cardinals. Now, with the Final Four tournament coming to town, lots of jobs coming here. It's a very different picture. And joining us now to talk about this turnaround is Kevin Phelps of the Glendale city manager. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Thank you very much for coming here. I want to start with the Gila River Arena. Currently, it's home to the Coyotes, but been a lot of disputes over fees and payments there, and they've made no secret that they'd like to maybe go someplace else. What's the status on that right now?
Well, I think we'd like to make it that it's not a secret as well. We'd like to keep them here in Glendale. We think it's a fabulous arena. And, we recognize, I think the community has to do a better job of supporting the franchise. We certainly have committed from our side to help do that. But we've got, we've encouraged them to look at a longer-term lease arrangement with the arena. We've offered them what is considered one of the best arena lease deals in the NHL, and so we'll let it play out where it's at, but we clearly want them to continue to stay home in Glendale.
It seems like they've got quite a bit of leverage here, because if they pull stakes out of there, what does that do economically for that area? That leaves a big hole there in that part of Glendale.
Well, certainly we would prefer to keep them there. The Westgate Entertainment District, however, is thriving and growing by a large amount. We have a lot of new development in and around that area, but again, we would want to keep them there.
But that is going to hurt economically. I mean, you got to be honest with that. If they pull stakes out of there, that Westgate community may be thriving right now, but you're going to be losing a lot of revenue from people going down there for games.
It clearly would have an impact.
Okay. And so how do you go about rebuilding a relationship like that?
Well, again, I think we had to let this play out. It's an interesting public policy discussion as to whether you should be issuing new public debt when we still have $144 million of debt that we're still paying off that was issued by the public to build the arena originally. But again, we're just going to stay engaged. We're not actively out, lobbying against it, because there's not a proposal to even lobby against. We're just trying to rebuild the relationship where possible.
Now, having gone through all this now, what lessons can be learned from, bringing these sports teams into your town? We've seen the Cardinals go there, the Coyotes go there. It's got, been a strained relationship, particularly with the Coyotes. What lessons can be learned? What would you do differently? Well,
I think they're important partnerships to have. And, we're real excited about the work we've done to repair the relationship with the Arizona Cardinals. It was also a fractured relationship that had many, many years a bad relationship. But they're important what they can do in your community. And so we want to treat them as an important asset. We want to value what they bring and what they contribute to the area. And I am convinced that if we can solve the issue with the Arizona Cardinals and with ASDA, that we can eventually find a solution for the Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah, and so there's some, Phoenix is dealing with an issue now. The Suns may be looking for a new home. The Diamondbacks are definitely looking for a new place. There's some massive improvements there. Do you think it's still a good idea for the public to be public monies to be invested so heavily in these sports arenas?
I think that it's a great strategy for the state of Arizona, where tourism is such a huge part of our local economy. We're one of only about 14 markets in the country that has all 4 professional sport franchises here. Every day in every newspaper in the country, they're talking about the city of Phoenix, the Arizona, the valley here. I think they're important assets to have. I think we have a responsibility.
Okay, I was going to say, but at the end of the day, as the old saying goes, is the juice worth the squeeze? All the money that's been put in that, and the havoc is kind of created for your city. Is it worth it for other towns, for people to be public monies to be invested in these, or should sports teams be ponying up more money to build their own stadiums?
Well, I think my encouragement would be to dive into this very carefully, because you are making a long-term commitment. In our case, we issued bonds for 30 years, and yet after a fairly short period of time, we're already facing the opportunity that the team could leave. So I think there's a lot of risk there, but again, we're hopeful we'll still find a good solution.
And tell us now, we're 60-some days away from the Final Four coming here. Where's the city at with preparations?
Well, we're real excited. Obviously, we're real involved on the traffic and public safety side of the operation, but our team is really fully engaged. We expect this to be a very smooth Final Four. We have a huge advantage, having 2 Super Bowls and the college football championship game series that was here last year. We're really, we think, very prepared as a community to accommodate such a large event.
Gotcha. And in particular with security there, what's the kind of cost it's costing the city right now? Are you getting help from anywhere else to pay pay for that extra additional security?
Yeah, we'll clearly incur some costs, especially on the traffic side, but that's what we do. But we're very comfortable with the relationship that we have with the NC2A, the Final Four Committee, and with ASDA. And so it's a little bit different scale than for the Super Bowl, but we're very comfortable where we're at.
Now let's move on a little bit to the local economy out there. Now obviously things are looking up there for your community. Jobs are coming out there, and that includes a massive facility for Con Air. Now tell us a little bit about that project.
Well, I think this is another great example of the importance of partnerships. Right before I got here, we were litigating with one of our largest landowners, commercial owners in Glendale, which was Con Air. We were able to solve that litigation, and then immediately they've begun construction on almost a 900,000 square foot expansion, which will wind up creating the second largest business park in the valley. But it shows you the power of a partnership. And so we're really excited about what's going on there. Our economic development department, just with our expansion program and new job recruitment, created 1,500 new jobs this year. What we know is in the pipeline, because we've got about 3 million square feet of commercial space coming online, we have about another 1,500 jobs we'll be creating this year as well.
So basically, as a city manager, you're basically the CEO, really, of the city of Glendale, and you've got to go out and market that to people across the country. I mean, given, you know, the rocky past here with Glendale with its finances and some very public fights with some sports teams, how do you go out and market Glendale to other to companies and lure them to come to your community?
You know, my father had the old saying, you know, what you do speaks so loud I can't hear what you're saying. I think first and foremost that as a city, our employees, we have to make sure we understand we're public servants. We're not self-servants, we're public servants. Just go out and do the right things. Accommodate business, speed to market, make sure we can issue permits and plans, that we use good common sense in how we do things, provide the right infrastructure. And I think if we just continue to do the right things, that really the business community, which is already doing it, will be our best promoter of Glendale and what's happening in Glendale.
So what's this year going to look like? What do you got in the pipeline that you're hoping, maybe trying to land right now, or you expect to happen in this current year?
We have a couple major developments. Unfortunately, I can't really speak to them because they're highly
won't tell
unpublic.
Anybody.
Yeah, but I will tell you, our econ development team will tell you it is the busiest we have been in probably 10 or 15 years. The amount of growth that's happening here, we're real excited about it.
And does having the NCAA Final Four here, having big events, does that help?
Absolutely, it helps. I think it gives a lot of community pride. The reality is people in Detroit know where Glendale, Arizona is at. And I came from a community very similar in size, Tacoma, Washington, but trust me that the amount of people who know where Tacoma's at versus Glendale, it pales in comparison.
All right, thanks a lot for taking some time to come and join us. But we're going to have to take another break, but we have lots more to talk about here on Politics Unplugged. The governor made one offer, but teachers want more. Just ahead, negotiating the cost of high-quality teachers. And Donald Trump floats the idea of an import tax to make Mexico pay for the wall. A closer look at the diplomacy of tariffs. Next on Politics Unplugged.